Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Misadventures Abroad. This is my friend John.
I'm John.
And he is here to help me talk about a few trips that we went on.
Yes.
So these are special stories. They're ones that he has a part in. So, yeah. So this is episode 3, and this episode is called 3 of Hearts. A romanticized Amsterdam adventure. That's the tagline, guys.
Yeah. I loved Amsterdam. And I think that tagline is the best way to sum it up. It was a really beautiful city, super small. And there is a really good art community there. I love the canals. We stayed at what is known to be, I think, Amsterdam or Europe's worst hostel.
Europe's worst hostel.
Yes.
Which is the Hans Brinker,
Yes.
I believe, if I got that correctly.
I think you are correct.
I think that's what the hostel is called. And I don't know, they're self-proclaimed the worst hostel in Europe. But I don't think it was the worst hostel in Europe.
No, I think we honestly may have stayed in worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really great. We had a really nice adventure. We met a really cool guy, which kind of like amplified. Well, we met a cool guy, and then there was that other rando. But he, in that, we kind of had a night where I felt like was just stuff out of the movies, and it was great to kind of like be in there and experience that.
Which is where the title comes in.
Yes.
The reason why we're calling it the 3 of Hearts is because I have this deck of cards here, and I believe I did a video on this deck of cards, so I will leave that video in the link, and it will be in the end screen, so if you want to check out that video.
Check it out.
But this is what I call my travel deck of cards. It is a plain deck of cards, like it's playing cards. They're legit playing cards. Except on the backs, I kind of DIY'd them to have the little name tag stickers, but these are the plain ones, so that whenever we met somebody new on our trip, we would have them tag a card.
Yes.
And so Amsterdam was like our second stop. So we met 2 dudes named James.
His name was James.
In Amsterdam. One was a complete douchebag who, like, I don't even know why we were hanging out with him at all. And then we met another rando, but he actually ended up being super cool.
Yep.
And we were just in like the common eating area of the hostel, and we were talking about some shooting that happened here in New York.
Yes, I remember that.
But he overheard what we were talking about, and then we just started talking. Anyway, his name was James as well as the first one, so this was the better James. And, we just talked. Then we ended up hanging out for the rest of the day into the night.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he was honored with filling out one of these beautiful cards here. And on his card, he wrote, one, he picked the 3 of Hearts.
Right.
And then on the back, he wrote love and luck. And then, of course, this fella here had to ask why out of the entire deck. He had the entire deck because the only ones that were taken were these cards.
Right.
These were the first 3 cards that we got filled. So the entire deck was at his disposal, and he picked the 3 of Hearts. And so John had to ask him why. Do you remember why? It had to do with love and luck.
Yes.
The 3 meant love and luck to him.
Right.
It was a very bold.
I forgot what was the 3rd heart, though.
I don't know. It was just love. He wrote love and luck.
Okay. I remember him explaining it and it being tied to not 3 L's or something, but it was something along the lines of like love, luck, and insert love heart thing here. But, that meeting him and I think he filled this out after we had spent all the time with him.
Yeah.
And it kind of just put everything together and solidified him as a really cool dude in my book. It was really nice. So to start the story, after we had talked to him about the stuff that was happening back in New York, he had mentioned either a cafe. I think that's how we found the Doors Cafe.
Yeah, we went to a cafe.
So we went back and then we went to the cafe with him, and it was really nice. And then I think it was later in the evening because I remember it being like darker.
Yeah, it had gotten darker at some point, so it must have been real late because we were there in the summer. Right? We were there late
Yes.
August.
It was getting closer to September. So yeah. And then afterwards, after the cafe, we had walked around for a bit, and then it started raining,
and like real rain, like raining cats and dogs, real rain, hard rain.
Yes.
It was a nice warm night, but it was still raining.
And for those of you who don't know, because you probably don't know me, I love the rain.
He takes it in sort of like a romantic type of way.
Yeah,
for him.
A little backstory, I grew up in the Dominican Republic, so my neighbor's roof was made out of tin. So when it would rain, it kind of create this really nice noise. I always ended up napping to it, so it just like it's a really good place in my heart. Anyway, back to the story. So it started raining, and we were walking around.
We were looking for an ATM because somebody needed to take money out. I remember that.
Yes.
And we found one like the middle of nowhere.
We did. So we found this like after the ATM, or at some point in the ATM, we ended up down this avenue or street. I don't really know what they would call it in Amsterdam, but it was right next to the one of the canals, and it was I want to say it would be like a pedestrian is not the word. What do you call that when there's like it looked like something out of the suburbs because it was like brownstones or really nice houses, and we found one with like a roof, and we were hanging out by the stairs.
Yeah, it had like an awning.
Yeah.
I think it was like a shop that had an awning because it was closed. It looked like a shop, but it had an awning and sort of like a what you call it? A stoop.
Yes, a stoop. Anyway, to paint the picture, it's pouring. We're hanging out in the stoop. We're semi-wet, and we're just like,
they're getting high.
Yeah, we're like, I'm feeling in a really, really good place, and as I do with the rain and any occasion that calls for it, I'm like barefoot. So I'm like, these are like the pivotal things to make me happy. It was just feeling great.
It was something out of one of those like very nostalgic, aesthetic, let's use the hipster terms, like teen movies.
Yeah. It almost
in a foreign country, so hence the romanticized adventures.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam.
And hanging out there with Tiff and with James, who we had just met, and just being around really good people, I was like, that was perfect. I felt great, and there was nothing that could do to make me feel like crap. And with that, I don't know, don't remember if we did anything afterwards, but on the way back, I just remember, I think I might have told her, I was like, this is just a really amazing night. And I guarantee you, it wasn't the stuff I was smoking. I mean, that helped. But I think what it was just like
the atmosphere and the company, probably.
Traveling with a really good friend and just being in an awesome mindset just put me there.
It elevated his
my high.
Trip. Yeah, like it just, that was a high point in this particular trip, which was, I don't think we mentioned, our first Euro trip abroad. Yes. So this was back in 2012.
We were child's babies. But it was great. And, him filling out the card and the way that part ended was just really nice. Especially since, we had heard the bad news about what happened that morning. But, it was also my first trip abroad. So having memories like that and experiences like that really, really helped.
Especially for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like our second city. So it kind of like really, I mean, we had a good time in London too.
We did.
Prior to going to Amsterdam. But this kind of, I guess, what's the word? Reassured us, sort of.
Right.
It was like I don't know if reassurance is the right word, but it kind of uplifted our spirits in terms of this trip since it was at the beginning. We had high expectations afterwards.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like we you go into these trips not knowing what could happen, and you kind of hope for the best, and then you make memories like this, and you realize that like if you kind of like put yourself in a good mind space and do all these good things, good stuff is gonna happen. So, yeah. So, among other good things that came from our time in Amsterdam, that whole kind of memory inspired Tiff to write a song, which I think you'll be hearing in the background of this.
The song is called Three of Hearts, which of course was inspired by not only the night, but the card that James, the dude that we met,
Right.
filled out. And it's a song in John's point of view, because I can write like that, I guess. I don't know.
It's a really beautiful song. I remember the first time she played it, and it encapsulated that memory in music form, and it's great. If there's any way for y'all to get it, whether like, just check it out. It's great. I love it. Highly recommend it.
The only place I have it currently is on my website to download the entire EP. It's just 5 songs. I will leave the link down below if you're interested in that, but there's no way as of right now to stream it. So yeah, I will put a little bit of it though at the end of this video, which I think is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this story and this episode of Misadventures Abroad, and we will leave you with a little bit of my song, and yeah, so we'll see you next video.
See you laters.
Bye.